English, I sound Scottish.
I think he sounds English.
But to the Scottish, I sound
Scottish,
English.
sound
I'm
English.
just like
Yeah.
nomad.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. So we are
okay.
currently recording. Brian
Okay.
likes to push record and then leave. So
Like
Brian's in and around. So
Tricked us.
if you're like, where's Brian? I mean, I'm here for Brian. He's here.
See Brian.
But I know for the most part, you guys are here for me, not Brian. So
I do love you too, Corey.
yeah, and I'm here for Adam, and Matthew's cool too.
I'm all right.
Yeah, but actually, if you really want a really solid Scottish accent,
Oh, really?
This is your man.
this right here,
Right there.
I don't know if I can do that.
So you're doing it right now. That's just amazing. Just be you. Just let it flow from who you are.
I'm not
Your
particularly Scottish. That's the thing.
What?
I don't have a very strong accent, I would say. Maybe to you guys.
That's very much. So I don't even know what a Scottish accent is anymore. All right, if this isn't it, I'm so confused. But hey, we're now only 2 minutes in, and I'll circle back to what we're doing. So we just have a couple quick episodes here of little interviews, kind of ministry spotlights, mission movement spotlights, partly because when friends come in town, we're like, all right, you have to be on the podcast. Help us out. So
like a rite of passage, right?
Exactly. So I'm here with Adam. I'm here with Matthew, and Brian is right here. If you're watching, he's just trying to distract me on the side, but where is he at? What's up?
Hey.
And yeah, so really, like, we spend so much time talking about what does movement look like. Stop it. What are we trying to do in the U.S.? Actually, like, what are some barriers that exist to actually seeing movement, seeing disciples making disciples, all the strategic stuff we do, all the simple things we do, right? But most of we're either learning from the global south of where movement's happening, or here's the things that we're implementing here. I think it's unique to have a conversation with a couple Europeans, where last episode, Taylor in Dallas said, hey, Europe is like, now it's past post-Christian. It's like pre-Christian again. Like, we've done this
full circle.
this
That's
like
interesting.
cycle,
It's
yeah.
good words.
And I don't know if Matthew agrees.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, that's a new one. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. So I'm just here to debate with you guys on that specific.
Let's go.
But before that, I want to know a little bit about you people. So, I mean, like, just you as individuals, not you as, from Great Britain. And then you could just unpack for 5 minutes.
You people.
All of us Americans are so cute, so confused on what is the UK. Is it the same thing as Great Britain? Is the British Isle? I mean, I don't know. All right. I'm so confused.
We don't really know.
We do our best.
Yeah. And then we're going to spend the second half of the episode here. We're going to look at the Nate Bargatze SNL skit about, all the phrases that the Americans will do instead of British. So,
love that.
And then at some point we'll talk about Jesus too. So let's start with you, Adam.
All right. Yeah.
Who are you? Where do you live? What's the minute version of who you are?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to disrupt the podcast already, I just want to say, you're talking about how you guys are trying to figure it out, and you are here on the ground in the States, but it's fun being here in person in this room that we've seen online so many times, and just
it's a famous room.
I haven't seen it.
It's one of be honest though, are you a little disappointed? You're like, oh, it is just a closet.
No, I actually kind of love it for that reason.
Okay, perfect.
How there's a bunch of boxes.
Why is there garbage at every corner?
Yeah. But it's a real kingdom thing that just thank you guys for the kind of road that you're forging ahead on, and just how open-handed and generous you've been with your learning, where you guys are at, what the things that have gone well, the things that haven't gone so well, and just that openness, vulnerability. It feels like this thing that the Lord's doing right now is just creating a bunch of hungry, humble learners across the globe. So you guys and your podcast is kind of have an impact on us over there as well, and it's encouraging, and it feels like we can share in the stories because we're at the front end of everything.
Yeah,
it's a grind, man. So thank you guys.
Well, and Matthew, as a regular listener,
totally obviously have listened regularly.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Adam, but now you only have 30 seconds to share.
Okay, hi everybody.
Just kidding.
So I'm Adam, married to Charlotte, and we both work with Novo Missions Org. And we feel called to, we kind of landed in Glasgow 14 years ago, and feel called there. And the Lord's just been enlarging that call and that vision, that dream to Scotland, to see fires lit there in the UK and to Europe as well. So that's where we're at, and we just want to see the Lord move and make some new disciples, and just like stamp on those gates of hell and get stuck in over there, because we need it.
Amen.
It's this kind of turning point. Yeah.
Well, we'll dive deeper
Yes.
into that in a second. Matthew, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I also live in Glasgow. I live about 20 minutes from Adam. And we got connected really just through like micro churches, through movement, that kind of thing. But yeah, my story is basically like coming out of back in kind of 2020, a bit of sort of personal tragedy, going through a season of difficult things. I was also going through a season of rebirth. And in that season, the Lord it was during COVID, during lockdown. And during that season, God was just meeting me in this little apartment. My friend in Brazil, she calls it the apartment womb because I stayed there for 40 weeks. And so it was just like, I unintentionally stayed there for 40 weeks. It was like a year and a half later, I realized it. But God was just rebirthing me, just awakening me again. And really, he was kind of discipling me. He was showing me a lot of stuff I'd been carrying, and also just showing me like truth, because truth sets you free, right? So he was just showing me, like, he was discipling me into truth. And so there was a kind of a season, I suppose, of sneaking around during COVID around the world, going to Mexico, going to the States, going to the Netherlands, and then coming back to Scotland and just looking and saying, God, I really long for a spiritual family. And I didn't really know exactly what sort of DMM was or micro churches, but my heart was just to have spiritual family and to have people to run with, to have people to do life on life with. That there was just something inside of me that was like, surely church should look like family, like people doing life together, and being missional as well. So that was a big thing for me. It was like, how do we connect these things? And I'd seen it happening all over the world. And then God just started to sort of do it very organically. He started to bring people together, and we started to meet, we started to gather. And so now, a few years on, we're in a space where essentially, we have this beautiful micro church, and God has done amazing things in people's lives. He's done a lot of transformation. We have some amazing testimonies of, marriages restored, people coming off anxiety medication, this kind of thing. Like God just restoring the heart. And now it's like, and this is one of the reasons why we're here. It's like, okay, well, how do we multiply this? How does it not just stay as a pool that gets stagnant, but how does it become a river? How do we allow this to flow out? And so it's been beautiful just to be here and just sort of see like some of the, like many expressions that you have of the same thing, right? Like that flowing out of what God has done in us, the multiplication of that. So,
man, so cool.
Yeah, that's my story.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I might actually throw it back over to you, Adam, because we got a piece of it with Matthew's story. There. We talk about this thing called the second conversion,
right?
And so Brian and I will talk about this a lot. It's like, how do we move from that kind of ministry as we knew it to this idea of multiplying disciples in churches, right? And something happens. Maybe it's over a period of time, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's a powerful encounter with the Lord, but all of us in this realm who are doing the things that we're doing have had some sort of second conversion into this way of thinking in ministry.
Yeah.
Tell me about yours.
It's a good question. I mean, so I'm not like, I've not been to seminary or studied or anything like that. I'm just like a normal guy, preach, right? I studied music, never had a proper job in my life, basically. But I got hired for this church that was really vibrant, but it was a very like service centric, it was all about the Sunday. And I was
in Scotland?
In Scotland, in Glasgow. Yeah. It's about 13 years ago now. And I just came on staff, and I just carried this hunger and this like holy frustration. What I realized was the Lord's kind of wired me to, the fivefold, like apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, to be like prophetic, pioneering, apostolic. And that basically means like, you're just a pain in the ass in a church setting, right?
Are we allowed to say that word on here? Will I get bleeped?
It doesn't carry the same weight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, when people from the UK say it, it's like, no, it just means
it's like a
donkey. Yeah, you're good. So yeah, absolutely. Keep going.
So like my official job there was like family ministry, dog's body pastor, do a bit of music and worship and prayer, and what I actually found like my heart was out on the streets, just going and getting on mission, as we call it. Which for me, I'm like, we have to call mission mission because the church has forgotten what it means. Really, it's
right.
following Jesus.
Mm.
So like we've got to call it this thing because it's missing, right? But it's really just like I felt like there was a whole side and paradigm to the character of God that we were missing out on, like the big C church, the body of Christ.
Yeah.
Because we're stuck in this bubble and he's out there, Lord of the harvest. And I'm like, I want to know Jesus fully. And he's out. So I'm just going to follow him. And it just, I think if you do really yield and submit, it just takes you out to the lost, into the dark places to bring the light and to bring hope and love to people and tell them the gospel and stuff, you know? So I got in all sorts of trouble on that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, they eventually be like, Adam, leave. Or was it like, we love you.
We love you.
We don't understand you.
Like
Is it
you.
that, or was it kind of was it kind of nasty? Was it a bad breakup, or was it a agree to disagree? You don't need to go into this.
It was
details.
it was a bit of everything.
Yeah.
A bit of bad, a bit of good, and everything in between. But it was like a push from the Lord out. So that's when we connected with the Novo guys about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was just a home. It was just like other creative, mad people who want to live all out for Jesus.
Yeah.
We'll help you. How can we help you do this? And you're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a bit of permission. Because I feel like that was the key. It was like, not trained in this. I know Jesus really well. I'm hungry for him. And I say yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that we like carry, which is one of the kind of keys to this next movemental thinking, isn't it? It's just like, say yes.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
That's so good. Those are 3 solid check box. I know Jesus. I know what he's. I can hear his voice.
Yeah.
And, what was the other one? I forget what you said.
Say yes.
I say yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's good. Absolutely. Yeah, we sometimes will check 1 or 2 of those, especially in America. We just usually won't want to check the 3rd one that say yes piece. Okay, so speaking of America, so you guys have both been here many times.
Yep.
You know, so you understand American culture probably way more than most Americans understand Scottish culture. You know, that's just probably
Maybe.
like, unfortunately, that's just often the way it is. You know, in America, it's like we're isolated. But we've also we tend to really know and double click into some of the things that have been barriers to us to see multiplying disciples. All right. That's something that we really have tried to learn and grow in. And I know some of those are the same exact things, maybe even hyperized versions of them in your experience. But I'd love for you guys to just give us a little lay of the land, kind of both the spiritual context, you know, of Scotland, maybe UK as a whole, maybe Europe as a whole, you know, like some things that you guys have seen and things that this is working a little bit. This is why this is difficult. And I know it's kind of a very open question. So I'd say both of you guys talk on that for a while. The mission context that may be similar to America, maybe different. Just walk us through some of what you guys are facing.
That's a good question.
Yeah, good questions. I mean, just anecdotally, one of the really interesting things you'll see in Scotland, and you maybe saw this when you came, was a lot of our old church buildings are now apartments.
Yeah.
Or pubs or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is increasingly becoming the story here.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's historical. I suppose there was a time when Scotland was like the land of the Bible, right? And for seasons and for generations, we were sending out missionaries. And, you know, maybe I'm kind of looking a little bit at the fruit of some of that. Maybe not so much here, but like in a lot of African nations and places like that, you know, we'll see that. What's interesting now is you are seeing some of the return of that. So you're seeing people coming from abroad to Scotland, which now, as I understand it, there's less than it's classified as an unreached people group. Is that?
Well, it's muddy, but
okay.
I think if you take into account people that truly walk with Jesus,
sure,
and go beyond maybe like an Easter Sunday service and say we're Christian,
it's less than 2%.
It's less than 2%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's wild, isn't it? The land of the
wild.
Bible.
Yeah.
And so, on the land of many revivals. So, you know, but then there's I guess that's got 2 edges to it, because, you know, whereas here you're almost at that phase where we were when we built those churches, where everybody's a Christian, right? Like in the States. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of like,
I'd say that's a couple generations ago.
Okay.
Or if you're in certain parts of the country, but I mean, nowadays it's far, but a couple generations ago.
But certainly I wouldn't walk down the street in Scotland and go into a random coffee shop and it would be owned by believers and have a big
Yeah.
thing that says "Praise the Lord."
Yeah.
Like
And
the
you
garden
see
centre
that,
we were in. Yeah,
like
it's like
garden
Jesus
center-
is Lord.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that like you
So
wouldn't
still-
see that in
yeah.
Scotland. So that's
Totally.
kind of just an anecdotal kind of
Totally.
example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like in some ways that's like, okay, we've lost that,
Mm-hmm.
but then maybe that provides the opportunity for God to do something on a more grassroots level.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because maybe it's good that religion's kind of dying off or
Mhm.
has died off. And maybe it's like now an opportunity for God to do something within the hearts of people.
Yeah.
On a more relational sort of basis. Because really all those churches that are now pubs, they hark back to a day when there was parishes within every,
Mm-hmm.
like sphere, within every little part of a city, if you like.
Yeah.
And so it was expected that you would go to church. But now maybe what we're seeing, and actually now even we're seeing, like I think during COVID, and you can kind of back me up in this or not, but I think during COVID what we saw was like another shakeup.
Mm.
So even like the charismatic churches, certainly I witnessed there was a kind of like the enemy was just like picking people off,
Mhm.
and so many people just fell away from the faith,
Yeah.
or maybe kind of boiled their faith down to some kind of something that kind of was like, yes, Jesus is a great man and he's like worth listening to, but he's not the only
Yeah.
way. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And so that happened a lot.
And I mean, Adam, I'm kind of thinking of even things I've heard you say of like, man, we got to stir people have this white hot desire to just surrender their lives to Jesus. And if it's nominal, it's really hard to mobilize nominal people.
Yeah.
And so I know that some of that is like, okay, there's not very many Christians. And then a lot of the ones that maybe have overlapped over years have probably not been like, all right, let's go take Jesus to people. Right. So that's a challenge. But what would you add to what Matthew was saying?
Yeah, it's good. I think looking big picture at the UK and the West in general is we've got this weird like combination of apathy, hyper individualism, fear, and that has just become inherent in Christian culture and in church culture. So it means like churches are like the bubble mentality, like batten down the hatches, like let's just protect our own in this moment. Because everywhere outside we can't trust anybody, and then that spirit of fear just shuts down people's voices, and consumerism leads people to isolation and loneliness. So like a really great example of that is in the early days. So like 8 years ago we started with this bunch of 25, 30 believers out of normal Sunday service centered church, trying to be the church, and it was really fun, and we like messed up so much and had some fun and some hard stuff. And a lot of the stories we found that we'd find people and they'd respond to the Lord or to the gospel and then, give their lives to him, start walking with him. And that's where it begin and end, because it was just like families were broken. There was no community. There was no sense of belonging anywhere. Right. And I think COVID just like catalyzed that, but also catalyzed all of the struggles in the church. And
absolutely,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely been one of the challenges that I think we still continue to face is that, we want to make disciples, and we don't just want to make disciple, right? We want to be people that see the Lord multiply everything, and I think it's a question that we're currently figuring out. What does that look like? How do we answer that? Is part of the answer, like, we just have to become our own, essentially like people of peace and build community around us and start forming relationship and networks, or I don't know what, but that's definitely a challenge. I don't know if you guys have. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny if I didn't ask the question and know that you were talking about a different country, I would assume you're just talking about my generation or the US, right? In many ways, it's like ultra isolation, extreme loneliness, like general fear, general anger, just like the ultra politicized reality, the polarization of this side and this side. It's like leads to a lot of unhealthy stuff. It leads to kind of two things, in my opinion. Like, it does actually lead to spiritual hunger.
Yes.
But finding those people is not a matter of, okay, we'll put on a church service and get them to come here, because people are not going to things that are on the other side of the, I don't know if it's the aisle or if it's just like like my worldview and here's the other world. I'm not going to take the step across that gap, that chasm, to go to this thing. Okay, so like, how are we finding the people that actually are, we can just attest to this as a bunch of missionaries. There are a ton of spiritually hungry people in our city and in your city. How do we find them? How do we get there? And you're saying, you're playing with this idea of like, do we need to build community? Excuse me, not community in maybe the way that we think through a religious, like church service lens or something, but are we creating opportunities to meet people? So Matthew, tell me a little bit about, like, I know that you guys are even starting to play with, like, okay, let's all move into the same part of the city. Let's do business stuff. I mean, tell me a little bit of the things that you're dreaming in that way.
Yeah, totally. So through a series of events, actually involving Adam, let me see, when was it? 2.5 years ago. So I've had this kind of dream in my heart for a little while to be able to use like business as a vehicle for disciple making or for discipleship. And I want to circle back around to that, because I do think one of the biggest obstacles we've not discussed is just having a grid for discipleship, like how to do it, why we should do it, and who we should do it with, right? So we can go back around to that, but having that kind of idea has been on my heart for a long time, you know, particularly with people in more marginalized communities, because one of the things you see in my city is, you know, there's a lot of people who, I used to sit with a lot of homeless guys who maybe like, you know, like we would get around to the conversation about jobs, and the whole thing would be not actually that they didn't necessarily have skills or experience, but it was more just like there was just like this internal blocker that was going to prevent them from, you know, moving in, from even going to an interview. So through a series of things, and events, just like a kind of God orchestrated moment, I ended up moving my business into one of our city's most kind of like marginalized communities. And at the time, it was around a similar time when our microchurch was really kind of coming together, and really just, you know, forming some really strong relationships there. And I said to everyone at the time, I said, I feel like God is bringing all of us to this community. And it's a neighborhood that's it's like 3 neighborhoods away from where I live, but the difference could not be more obvious. I mean, life expectancy, education levels.
Like life expectancy is mid-40s.
Is it? I don't know. But it's like
no, it is.
Mid-40s.
It's crazy. Like
That's
the
nuts,
the
man.
level of addiction, the you know, you're talking about people on like 3rd generation welfare dependency, all this kind of stuff, and it's 2 neighborhoods away. And so to come back around to your question, we are as a spiritual family, God has slowly been moving each of us into what's essentially like a discipleship and enterprise hub there, and it's right on the main thoroughfare, like the main street within that neighborhood. And so we have a couple of little maker businesses going on there. I'm a product designer by trade, and we're working on more businesses that can essentially allow us to create like training opportunities, maybe like work placements. I don't know what you would call that here, but allowing
internship,
Like
internships, something like that. Maybe a kind of apprenticeship kind of thing, bringing people in, showing them how to use their hands to make something, and then maybe even employment, who knows. But maybe it's also like giving them the inspiration to go and start their own business. There's lots of ways it could look, but it's generally just we're creating a space where we're coming in and serving what I would call like the felt need of the community, which is like a lack of employment and even a lack of aspiration to be employed.
A lack of identity.
A lack of identity, But so like, how can we create these, as I say, like businesses that act like vehicles where we can do that kind of discipleship? So as a microchurch, which, you know, most of your listeners will be familiar with that idea, we're all being kind of
As
drawn
a regular
towards.
listener,
Yeah.
sorry.
We're,
As a fellow regular.
as a
Yeah, yeah,
fellow
yeah.
regular listener, I should know. We're all being, as I say, drawn towards that. And now that all of our time is in that place during the daytime, during the week,
Yeah.
and increasingly like other people are joining in and whatnot, now we're like, okay, how can we go live there and just be the yeast in the loaf,
Yeah.
like just be amongst
Yeah.
the community.
And to jump in, what I think it maybe, I think it will be answering your question, because there's a bias towards the poor,
Yes.
and there's like an anointing and a blessing on the needy, and going after them. And actually, what these guys are finding is there's more of a community there than in more affluent
Absolutely.
areas. There's more of a sense of belonging, and that's a
Yes.
landing strip for the gospel to spread.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think maybe one of the questions that we need to see is like, how do you go from wanting to love and care and meet the felt needs of people, but really for the purpose of showing them Jesus and bringing them into the kingdom,
Mhm.
right? And not just
Mhm.
to stop at
Not just for the sake of that.
Right.
just stop at caring, right?
Yeah, which I mean, it's an issue
It's a
in
challenge.
missions throughout a long time. It's like for
Yeah.
whatever reason,
Yeah.
we've created on one end there is the get people saved,
Yeah.
and on the other end it's like the the good works,
Yes.
and it's like I have no idea how we got there
Yeah.
in the church of how those things are separate.
Yeah. Right.
And it's in one sense they're an overflow of one another.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what you said, like you talked about a felt need.
Mm.
So this is on a micro level. You can think of, okay, who are the people that God's called you to go make disciples of? And if it's like a smallest micro level, the people I work with, or our neighbor, or people we play sports with, or whatever, there's like, what's the felt need?
Yeah.
All right, you're asking God that same
Mm.
question to a much macro level of like countrywide,
Yeah.
continent wide, and we're asking the big questions, the felt need. But what happens is when we be the hands and feet of Jesus and we start to actually engage those felt needs, there's a reason to the words of Jesus take root.
Yeah.
Our own words about Jesus take root in people's hearts. The questions we ask about spiritual things mean something more when we care.
Yeah.
And I think that is very Western.
Mm.
And I'm saying that like it's all over the world, but I think right now there's a hunger for authenticity, for people
Yes.
to actually care, not just to throw a bunch of religious
Yeah.
Yeah. absolutely.
answers at
Yeah.
you. So I love that. I love that. Like that's,
Mm.
I feel like whenever we hear about movements taking off, it starts in the margins,
Yeah.
Mm.
in the
It's true.
the marginalized communities, the places where we've just discredited them and say,
Yeah.
you don't matter, tends to be that's places where Jesus would start and hang out
Absolutely.
with, and it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
But it overflows into all
Yeah.
parts
That's it.
of society. But if we want to see early disciples making disciples, planting the gospel in the community that would take roots, like let's
Yeah.
start where Jesus
Yeah.
would start.
Yeah.
So I love
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
And that's why we're in Glasgow, because man, Glasgow's got, like, it wins all the stats for all of that stuff.
Yes.
Sick man of Europe. It's got this Glasgow effect where people in every demographic
Yeah.
live 10 years less, like up to 10 years less than the rest of the UK.
That's
And
crazy.
it's highest poverty levels.
Highest rate of
addiction.
drug-related deaths in all of
Yeah,
Europe.
used to be the gang capital of Europe. It's still up there. It's got the highest level of men's suicide, even though it's dropped 60%, still the highest. So I'm like,
Wow.
okay, from us, we're like, Glasgow is going to be the spring that flows, the river flows and just affects the rest of the UK and Europe. So
And-
we're like, come on, Lord.
Yeah,
man,
I think it does speak to, again, your question about blockers, because, and this is kind of what you're saying, I guess, is like some of the biggest ones there are that hyper individualism.
Mhm.
For sure, there's this valley of death that you need to go. I'm stealing this from a book called the Rabbit and the Elephant.
Yeah.
But there's for sure this valley that you have to go through between like we would call it legacy church. What do you call it again here?
Prevailing.
Oh, like
predominant model
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
Legacy church is more offensive, I suppose. But
So we're trying to be less offensive.
yeah, exactly.
If you want to offend, that's
Yeah.
I'll give them your email address.
There is this like valley between that and movement, right? And it's like a valley of death where you have to die to self into family. And actually, here's the irony in that is that family is what everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
They want to belong, right?
People want
want a
to
home.
belong,
Yeah.
but we also really want to hold on to our individualism and our rights and all this kind of stuff. So that's one. And then the second one that's kind of in there as well is just comfort. Like we have so much, and it's like I feel this all the time living where I live, and that's part of the reason I kind of want to move is just that level of comfort. If you think about like the churches that Jesus talks to in Revelation, that church in Laodicea, I don't know if I ever say it right.
That sounds
Laodicea,
right.
I mean, if you
Laodicea,
didn't, then no one else knows.
right?
Either. It's
Yeah,
fine.
right.
So exactly. That comfort, because we have everything we need, which breeds like a lukewarmness.
Apathy, man. It's
And
such
so in the
Yeah.
in the poorer areas, what you see is, well, they don't necessarily have that
Yeah.
level of comfort. And so there's a more of an openness, more of a spiritual hunger,
Yeah.
whether they realize it or not. But then there's also, as Adam was saying, there's more of a sense of community. Oddly, people are less
They
individualistic.
rely on each other more.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah.
for good or for bad.
Yeah.
Because it might be they rely on each other to sell drugs or to gang up on people or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there.
But you don't survive if you're by yourself.
Right.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's just a battleground there.
So
Yeah.
people in those communities, like the one where we're going to, tend to be born there, and they'll live there for the rest of their lives, and all of their cousins live there, and their extended family and their friends, and they just won't leave. Whereas a lot of the people that live around me, to be honest, many of them are not even from Scotland. But it's a very interesting. What's that? No, it's great, but it's
Adam, I want you to speak to. No, I'm just kidding.
sorry.
I've got a confession.
Yeah.
No, just keep going, Matthew.
Sorry.
It's a super cosmopolitan culture, which I love.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, are not related. But nobody really. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Man,
Yeah, it's good.
good stuff. All right, so as we're getting near the end, I kind of want to push the minus button, Google Maps, and zoom out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you're looking at kind of Europe as a whole, maybe UK. I mean, you guys and you can tell us the difference between UK and Great Britain. It's the same thing, right?
Pretty much.
United Kingdom and Great Britain. That's the same
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
That's right. That's right. If that's your one takeaway. It's your one takeaway from this podcast is you've learned the difference. It's not actually different. What's England? How is that different than Great Britain? It's one of what?
One
four?
of the four.
One
Yeah.
of 4 nations within.
England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland.
Amazing. Look at this. We're learning so much.
There you go.
Where do you see in the coming months and years? And maybe the question is just, I'm just recycling what Taylor said earlier. So post-Christian, you're pre-Christian.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, what's the possibilities and what's next? And how do you engage so post it's pre-Christian culture? Just let's end on thoughts like that. And then maybe we'll tie a bow.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got 2 things. I'm like, I kind of I want to ride you guys' wave and just put a plug out there, because I feel like what the Lord is looking for right now is just small teams of just stubbornly faithful people that are willing to stick it out in this first generation. Right, almost like David when he goes out to war and he's got his 37 men and it's small, and they do this insane things where they go and just defeat whole armies, 3 of them, just defeat 800 people or whatever. I feel like the Lord's calling this faithful remnant in the UK, Scotland and England and the rest of the UK right now to form these small teams that are going to give it all and just get out into the harvest looking for those hearts and those hungry people, because we're not going to sit in that fatalist lie that says it's hard ground, we're never going to see anything, because that's just not who the Lord is.
Yeah.
He's a Lord of the harvest. He says it's plentiful. So we're okay, Lord, show us where it's plentiful. Take us to those places that are ready, to those hearts that are ready to go. So if there's anyone in the UK that wants to form a team, if you're in a normal church or a traditional setting, Church of Scotland, Church of England, whatever, it just doesn't matter. We can help you form teams and give you just some guidance and just some springboard momentum and faith to get out on mission and just go and do some stuff, right, and see what the Lord's got out there.
Amen.
So,
I mean, is this you throw your email out there or what? I mean, I don't want to throw your email out unless you're okay with that.
Yeah, please do.
What's your email?
It's adam.penker. Do I need to spell it?
Yeah,
at
spell
novo.org.
Yeah, spell it out for us.
Okay, adam.penketh at novo.org.
That's right, Adam
Thanks,
Penketh
guys.
at novo.org. I mean, seriously, if you're in Scotland listening to this, first of all, I mean, we have made it big. All right.
Come on.
Let's go. Because that's the goal.
If you're in Scotland listening to this, it's because Adam shared it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Adam, for sharing it to your family. It's like your kids are listening.
Yeah.
So they go. But no, I mean, maybe you're listening to this and you send this to a friend or whatever, and you have connections. Like Maria was telling us, our For the Nations team, she's like, I just got off a call with someone in Scotland.
Yeah, right.
Did you talk to her about that?
Yeah, we
We're
did.
going to connect with them.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
So that's how honestly, that's how stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
God begins to intersect these lives. And I mean, almost all of the people that we run with in Kansas City, I'd say we have some miraculous story like that, where a connection of a connection and raised up. People hear me talk about leaders of peace, that concept I stole from Phil Alessi.
Love it.
Just like there are influencers in the city that are already leaning hardcore into this idea. God's already raising up the right people in Glasgow right now.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not, God's
true.
he's gonna overlap that
Yeah.
in the near future.
And then like big picture, I think it's in Europe as well, but we're obviously very sensitive about it in the UK. There is this like felt need of like lost identity. I don't know if you guys have seen on the news, there's like a resurgence for the first time in I don't know how long of people putting up flags. So like the Union Jack and the St. George's Cross, the England flag, and even in Scotland putting the Saltire, the Scottish flag up. And just there's this renewal of a sense of like, who are we? And we're allowed to reclaim a sense of like, this is what we're about and this is where we come from. And it's mixed up in some like, more kind of extreme right wing, like we're against these people. But actually what I think is happening is there's this spiritual battle of the identity of the UK right now is up for grabs. That's what it feels like.
Interesting.
And like the enemy's like, playing and throwing stuff at it. And there's an opportunity, an invitation for God's people to come in, because at the heart of everything, both good and bad, that's happened with the UK and England and Scotland that we've done, if you boil it right down to the roots and the beginnings, it's Jesus. It's people that followed the way and people that gave their lives to Jesus. And I'm like, that's the root of our identity in the UK. So it feels like we need the church to step into that space. And it's like, it's a kind of crazy, you got to have boldness and courage and raise your voice up, because the UK is also pushing against some rights and some free speech stuff and all of that right now as well. But that doesn't stop us from having to embrace that need to bring Jesus into that conversation, because he's the answer. So that's, for me, I'm like super excited about that, because it's a great opportunity that we've got. And I think it's the same in Europe right now. It's just, the Lord's just whipping this conversation up.
Yeah, it's really, really good. All right. Last thoughts. I mean, I wanted you to be able to speak on that too. What do you think in terms of this conversation?
Well, it's interesting because if you say I've never had that thought, but it's quite interesting, because what Taylor's essentially saying is that we've become a pagan nation. If we're pre-Christian, then we're pagan. Yeah. And actually, there's a lot of truth to that. So I kind of agree in many ways, because we are not only living in post-Christendom, but we're living in post-truth.
Yeah.
And post-truth is like a lethal combination with individualism. It's like there is your truth is the truth. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting, because then I think about, okay, well, who came into that? And I don't know if you've ever heard of St. Columba, but he was a missionary that came over from Ireland, and many people kind of like say he brought Christianity to Scotland. And the way he did it was, interestingly, he sent out bands of missionaries to start missional communities all across the nation. And also they were moving in signs and wonders as well. Yeah. That's a big one. So he, so I think there's something there where it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then actually we have a chance to reset.
Yeah.
And we have a chance to go back to, what does it say in the book of Acts? What does it look like to go back to the fundamentals of that? And for believers who've been raised in the church, that is a paradigm shift, but it's allowing ourselves to do that, and allowing ourselves to, and I think, to be honest, we've got a lot to learn from the Middle East and places like this, when it comes to this. But what is it, funnily enough, back in the Middle East, but what does it look like for us to be making disciples, and to be moving in in the power of the Spirit, to be relying on God for everything. So I think of St. Columba and those fires that he birthed across the nation of Scotland
and down all the way to UK, and then across to Europe.
Even kings and whole people groups came to Christ because he performed signs and wonders.
Mhm.
And so you got to think, okay, well, let's see it as an opportunity for God's kingdom to
Yeah.
come.
That's our heritage, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's so good. It's like it's your heritage, your identity, and there's also a reset.
Yeah.
So both of those things, it feels like a unique
Mm.
season in history.
Yeah.
Of let's do it again, God.
Yes.
Let's do it again.
Amen.
Yes.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got one more. Like, what? How do Scottish people view Braveheart? I want. That's the last question. Like, do you guys like Braveheart? Are you embarrassed by Braveheart? It's like, why does he sound so American? I just want to know real quickly.
We do like Braveheart. I think there was definitely, we definitely watched it a lot as teenagers and
Yeah.
wanted to get in fights with the English a lot just
Yeah.
because we felt really emotional about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
Is that why you are so
what-
angry at Adam all the time?
I'm English, everyone.
one of the interesting things is that almost like I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm going to say like 5 times out of 10 when you meet an American, that's the first thing they're going to start quoting to you.
That's why I waited to the end of the podcast,
Right.
Okay.
before to just be like freedom.
Yeah.
And just be dumb. Okay, Brian, you agree?
I just want to know how often you paint your face blue.
He wants to know how often you
Every
paint
single
your face
morning.
blue.
Yeah.
Okay, every morning.
With the sword.
Matthew gets up, he gets his sword, he
Uh-huh.
paints his face blue.
You mean my paint's not on?
Oh, amazing.
Not much.
All right.
Nothing.
All right. I think we're going to end on that. That's classic. Fellas, thank you for joining us. You guys are
No
the
worries.
best.
Thank
Much
you for having
love.
us.
Peace.
Yeah.